I like that. Come on.
And if you see it
all right, so we're back with this part of the interview where we have songwriter Elezar here, and we're going to share some views on what he likes to do through music. But before we begin, I want to read this quote from Piper, John Piper. It says this: "Together, the words spirit and truth mean that real worship comes from the spirit within and is based on true views of God. Worship must have heart and worship must have head. Worship must engage your emotions and worship must engage your thoughts as well." So I'm paraphrasing a little bit of what Piper says there, but I find that to be so true, is that our worship, we should feel God. Sometimes our feelings are bad servants. When we feel for the wrong things, when our heart has these affections for sin or things like that. I think our heart serves us wrong when we feel those kind of things. But I think our heart serves us right when we have those affections in the right place, when we have those affections for God. So it must, love God with your mind and heart and all all your life. And I think that really worships God in the right perspective when we do that. So go ahead in this part of the interview, share a song with us, and then kind of dissect it a little bit, and let's take it from there.
All right. So I wrote this song here with the band. This is Grupo. This is Now to Eternity. So
I like that.
So that goes over 2 times. Again, like I said, it was just that was Grupo's first time. I just remember making that riff and just everything in it. That's like 18 years almost. Like, golly, it's been that long. I recorded that in the church. We didn't know what we were doing. Again, I found a program. I found this 8-channel mix record to use, recorded through GarageBand, and that's what we had.
Yeah.
And just all the little parts in there, man. It's just a collaborative, and they were just like this ping pong effect of that they were just, one would do this, one would do that. It was just amazing watching that little.
How long ago was this?
That's like 18 years ago, man. I was like 19 or something around there, yeah.
What were some of the lyrics? Some of the lyrics. Let's talk about that.
So the words are, today we will say, the Lord is our God, no other. And we will rise like a fire to become an unstoppable rage, to bring the lost to the cross and together live Jesus' name. If tonight we would seek Him, if tonight we would pray. And then it goes into the chorus, you are my salvation, the strength in my voice and wings, to fly over mountains and roar like the seas. To you alone be my adoration, from now to eternity, from now to eternity.
That's different from that
It's-
sounds like you talking to God and
It's-
having this.
It's exactly what I was saying. It's preaching. It's like, what would I say to someone else? And then when you hear it, right, you hear that, you are my salvation. Like, it's something that you declare. I have to sing that. I have to declare that myself. And if you could take like that little prayer, that little saying there, and then really sing it, then you left it up to everybody's interpretation of that. But you had to, like, in your mind, have the idea of what you were doing when you sang that. I know I had that riff. When you had the drums, when you had all of that together, it became, whoa, this is a preaching on this level of, like, on the back, just as much as you can use this piano to, to use that, again, that emotion to stir up. We use rock and roll to do that. This this thing of this declaration of, come on, declare it with this, and declare it. You are our salvation, the strength in our voice, like to fly. To you alone be our adoration from now to eternity, from now to eternity. And it was just like this worship in there. It was this declaration in there. It was this stuff that, again, I thought I was inventing at the time. Because I just knew that that's what. I don't know, that I knew that's kind of the vein of what God was having me write songs in, like declaration songs for us. So even if you just took the words, could that be your prayer? Could that be a preaching? Could that be something? And so, and I knew I was singing to church kids. I knew I was singing to a bunch of us that were trying to make a culture at the time too. So there's a lot of those things that weigh on your mind. It's kind of cool that God was able to kind of guide those words and kind of make that kind of statement at the time.
So did you feel that? So did you feel those words personally?
Oh yeah.
Because like we were talking about,
Oh, yeah,
that like our feelings and our affections for God, those are good servants, in us growing together with God in a better relationship, feeling these things, feeling these affections for God. So I think, again, I just think that's completely important. And for those who missed the first half of this show or haven't seen it yet or whatnot, Elezar was talking about how God challenged him early on about what are different ways to preach the Word of God. And he found out in his experience that, the pulpit for him was music as well. God wasn't just confined to just the pastor or anything like that, but his pulpit was in music, and that's how he ministered a lot through the church growing up.
Right.
So I think that's powerful. But I love those lyrics. 18 years ago.
I was there, 18 or 19,
Man, that's
on
crazy.
church discipline, man. So
On church discipline. God birthing things up on church discipline.
we always get the best songs, man. We're in trouble.
I've been there. I
That's
get it. I get it.
All right. So the second song, this is the last song that I wrote. It's 6. I have a lot of dates for a lot of these songs. This one's 6/12/21. So this is a couple months ago, in a prayer, and it started from this place of. Again, like I said, as we go through the song, you're going to kind of hear, I only changed about a couple of lines, but it's pretty much just all the way through. I wrote this song just playing it, then I went back and wrote the lyrics to it, but I only changed maybe a couple of them. So it's just like raw prayer to God with this beat, like that's in there, man.
So we're going to song 2.
This is the
All
second
right,
song,
get
right
ready
here.
for it. Let's do this. Oh, I like that. Come on.
And if you see it all,
All right.
then you see I'm incomplete. I know you're here. That's why I act this way. You can't forget me, even when I stray. Me
kind of just goes over that again. And like I said, when I was I was writing that, you know, it was. Is there still more to that? Yeah, it's a couple more of that, but the whole part of that was just it letting, just kind of like, I know God's big enough to take what we want to say. Even on that part, there's this part there that says, you know, I will bow with my head to the ground, because it was sort of like this. There's a reverence in it, but it's because when I looked at the hills, no help was found. So instead of kind of trying to keep this positivity going on in my life, I just had to accept the reality that, like, you know what, my place is here with you. You know? But after I prayed this, and after I'm crying and I'm bawling, I'm thanking God for just this song, that I'm like, I don't know if I should even, but I've shared this song more than I have a lot of other songs, and I just like, guys, this is what music should to me. This is the type of music I want to keep making. I still want to make these salvation songs. I still want to make songs that are about, you know, people being honest in their faith, and people being honest. Because when I perform, it is just me praying. It is me sharing the gospel. It is me preaching. It is me doing all that stuff. But it's also a part of me too that was supposed to only be meant between me and God. And that's kind of weird to put yourself out there like that. But that is very necessary when you put yourself out there. Your art is done in the secret and put out in the light, and letting somebody else judge that. And I said, well, if you're going to judge me, at least judge me based on me being me. And that was the whole reason why I wrote songs. Like, I didn't do covers. Even to this day, it's like, you know that song? I don't. Because I want you to hate me, not because I did a cover bad, but because I sang my song bad. And my voice, I sound like a goat singing. Like, I sound like, why do you sound like you're like going to torture? Like, it's just, it is. It's this fight. My brother has a better voice. I wish he would sing these songs, but he's busy, so I got to sing them. Yeah, and that's what I sound like. Yeah. But that's it.
What we were talking about earlier is that that worship, you know, comes from a place of private. Like, you have an audience of one, and I asked Elezar earlier the question. I said, you know, if God gave you a guitar and he just said, sing to me, you know, that's where it begins, is that God just like, you know, it's just when people get into the equation and their opinions get into the equations, and they're judgmental, like, oh, I rate that person a 9 or a 10, you know, that's where we lose step, and we lose, you know, our identity if we're not really rooted in God like we should be. And but it got to be that first place, like, 'cause you said something in that song, you know, your promises are deep in my bones.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can overlook that and just keep that as a lyric or whatnot, but if you're really gonna judge the song, you know, think about that. Your promises are deep in my bones. What kind of person would say that? A kind of person that feels the promises of God. Yeah. And I think that's where your lyrics come from, right? Is from the place of you feel these things from God.
Yeah. It's, you know, and so nothing can keep me from the words I was told. And even a couple of years ago, like 3 years ago, I mean, I was good being retired. Like, I'm going to heaven, man. I know I'm going to heaven already. I'm retired. I'm like, good. But something in there was like, there's this thing in there where I can't be critical about stuff. We're allowed to be critical about it only if we are going to do something about it. And so if I was going to keep writing, then it had to be songs that I just couldn't wait to go and perform again. I couldn't wait to go and sing to people, even if it's in a coffee shop or it's whatever. And you know, the people that I was hoping were going to like it, or hope that they were going to enjoy it, you know, they're doing what everyone else does, and they base it off of, you know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, cool. Like, so if I want to continue to impress that demographic, then I understand some things are going to have to change. And even at this point in my life, I'm still stubborn enough to be like, I don't want to change that much for that. Sure. You know, because there's enough people that are catering to, I don't mean catering like in a way or whatever, but there's enough people that are doing something in what they feel God has them do, and they're appeasing to you. So I really don't need your 15 minutes then.
Yeah.
If it's just for that, to every 15 minutes, because you're giving a lot of these other bands, you know, their whole album to listen to, and you're in the car, while you're taking a shower, they're there, you know. And I'm saying, like, could you listen to this one song for 5 minutes, please? I'm like, I don't know. You know what? Enjoy that album. God's all over that album as much as he's all over this 5-minute song. And you know what? If you need to hear this, you're going to hear this song.
It's important to know.
God is going to find a way to get it in there. The algorithm will make it work to where, you know,
it needs to,
to where you're going to get it. So that gives me so much peace now, dude, because I see what God's doing, and I always have that idea of that everything comes full circle, and it's just. So one of the things that are never gonna get old, dude, is gonna be people that there's like somebody's gonna raise their hand and be like, God, is there anybody singing from their heart right now, and not from a corporate place? Because corporations are filling our stomachs, and they are allowing us to have radio stations, and they are allowing us to have some sort of thing. So I don't talk bad about it, but there is still someone inside there that's saying, I have to go somewhere else to find that other thing. And so that is up to us to be like, that's why I have to keep singing these songs. That's why I have to keep writing these songs. And I don't know who is affecting it. I think my influence is so small, but it may not even be the songs that's influencing people. It's just maybe the work that is influencing people. And that's what you keep doing. You're like, why, like, do you wish this would have happened? Like, no, I don't, because that's dumb. When do I stop then? When do I stop wishing God would have did this when he didn't do that? The thing is that, let's just say there's 1,000 doors open every single day. And every one of those doors are a blessing. God is gonna do his work in all of them. But today I say, I'm a Mexican, and Mexicans don't do that. 500 of those doors close. The next thing I say, I'm a man, and men will never do that. There goes another, 250. Now I'm left with 250 doors out of 1,000. And then I say something like, no one's in my family has ever done that. Now there's 3 doors left. And I gotta go like, I better fast and pray. I don't know which door to go through. One of these is the wrong door. Like, no, in the morning, the 1,000 doors were all right. Now there's 2 doors that are wrong? And one's right? Yeah. No, get out of here. So that's the thing I have about God. Like, God gives opportunities. Like, here, dude, every one of these count. Some of these will cost your family. Some of these will cost this. Some of these will cost that. Some of them will cost this, this, and this. You have to count up the cost to follow me. That's what a good believer does. That's what a good follower does. They count up the cost. Because that's what I asked of you, to count up the cost. And if you look at that and you say, you don't shut the door because you're Mexican. You go in and look at the door and say, this one's not now, God. I can't do that one because of this. That's being diligent. That's being smart about it. So if you stop right now and be like, okay, how many people like that have always had this thing in their, like they want to be performers and they want to do all this stuff. The first door that opens, they take. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, are people that are always at the weddings and want to sing a song, they'll always be there. There'll always be a stage for you. They show me that. They show me like, hey, look at this guy. He sings the same song every wedding. He will always have, as long as people get married, this guy will always have a stage. And that excites me. So it's people like me like that, like, hey, every time there's a new place opens up, and somebody says, anybody want to sing? And I'd be like, hey, he sings. Like, I'll sing. Until you find someone better, I'll be here. So there'll always be an opportunity to show up. But when they're open, I come at it. I come swinging at it.
Got to, though.
That's
got
it.
to. We got to make the most out of every opportunity.
Yeah.
I think Jesus was pretty clear on, taking the opportunities that he gives us and, making the most out of it. So that's good. Do you have another song that you want to go through?
I got a million of songs, but I think I just want to kind of like cap in on that. And I know like this won't be our last time we're getting together, but I just kind of want to show like the first song that I wrote and recorded, and show the last song that I've like recorded, and kind of just showing like, when you hear that, you kind of think like, that didn't sound good at all. But I doubled down on that sound. Like, that's just the sound that I have. I've tried my best to try to change my style, but it just didn't work. It doesn't give. And so once I started realizing that, I started leaning into those sounds. That's what I like. I like a drum loop. I play guitar over it, play a solo on it. Because that's the avenue to get the words out. To me, the words are more important, right? And I've been blessed in just throughout my time of performing that I've got to play with good players, good people, and they bring those songs to life with their artistry, their music. And so there's been time where the songs have just been acoustic. I've been just playing an acoustic, and it adds another dynamic in a lot of these songs. People actually hear what I'm saying outside of these crazy drum loops or guitar parts, or this, they get to hear. My wife has like reheard some of these songs. Like, I never heard that song like that. That song sounds good acoustic. It doesn't sound like the way you have it all. There's like the bass, the whole thing, stuff. And it's just like so. It's just it's like. So these songs are like getting new life all the time. So I've just because you have songs, and that's why I always encourage, like, dude, if you write, just keep writing. You never know. Yeah.
So if you're a young professional, old professional in just the music world, and you became a worshiper of God, and you're getting into the Christian life and fellowshipping with other believers, and you bring this gift to the table, man, go at it.
Yeah.
Go at
Yeah,
it.
just do
Like, you know what?
Yeah.
You bring something to the body of Christ that the body of Christ needs.
Yeah.
I know I like going to church, and I know I like meditating, and I know I like just enjoying the presence of God. Imagine that. Imagine you being a peacekeeper in the house of God because the music that God's developing in you. Imagine that. You being a peacemaker through the music because of what God's throwing into music in you. Because I really do think that gospel music should bring peace in our hearts.
Right.
It should bring that meditative thought. it should bring those elements. You know, there should be something that just stirs our affections up for Jesus. And I think that's so important. Elezar, it's such a blessing to have you.
That's where I've been messing up at. I've been doing the opposite. I've been everybody asking questions. I leave everybody even more confused. Like, should I be loving God like that or what? Like, yeah, man. Challenge yourself, man.
Challenge yourself. I love it.
Oh, thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Appreciate
bro.
it. No worries, man. God bless
All
you.
right.
God bless you.
Oh, I like that. Come on.